Good morning. This assembly was given to the young people of Prior Park College in our chapel this morning. In last week's assembly, I spoke about the summer of riots that we have just endured in the UK. I mentioned that the UK had a history of riots and street violence. Some of that historic street violence took place in this beautiful city of ours. A building in Bath was burnt to the ground by a mob in 1780, and the man in charge of that building had to run for his life away from angry hordes of pursuers. In the Bath Chronicle, our local newspaper, an editorial told the men of England to beware of the enemy. This kind of language, using words like enemy, is the language of fear and hatred. It's the kind of language that we heard on social media over the summer. In 1780, though, there was no social media. In 1780, there was only newsprint to spread fear of the enemy within. So 250 years ago in this country, who were the enemy? That enemy in 1780 were Roman Catholics. It was Roman Catholics that the local paper referred to as the enemy. And it was a Catholic chapel in Bath that was burnt to the ground, with a Catholic priest taking to his heels in flight from a hate-fueled mob intent on destruction. Last week, I spoke about anti-immigrant protests. A few centuries ago, the trend in riots was for anti-Catholic protests. Now, there are very few anti-Catholic protests that still happen in England, though on Bonfire Night each year in the Sussex town of Lewes, an effigy of a 17th century Pope is burnt under the banner "No Popery." In England, though, that's about it. In Western Scotland and Northern Ireland, anti-Catholic feeling can be felt, seen and heard rather more frequently, with chants and graffiti often having a strongly sectarian flavour. Sectarianism is a strong belief in a religious group to which you belong. Such a strong belief that you may treat other groups in a way that is discriminatory, aggressive, or even violent. Back in the 18th and early 19th centuries, sectarianism against Catholics was common in Britain. Mainstream opinion, such as our local and now eminently respectable newspaper, held that Catholics were dangerous, the enemy within. And it won't surprise you that such was the level of sectarianism in Britain that there was limited Catholic freedom, and as a result, there were no Catholic schools in this country. Now, Prior Park is not the oldest Catholic school in England. Schools like Downside and Stonyhurst existed for many years before Prior was founded. They were set up, like Prior, to educate English Catholics, but they were set up abroad. These foreign schools for English Catholics returned to England a few years before Prior Park was founded. Catholic children needed Catholic schools. Only in them could they be safely educated in a faith that was still feared and persecuted by many in the mainstream. It was only the year before our school was founded that Catholics were emancipated. Emancipation means freeing. Before 1829, Catholics in this country were not free. There were consequences for you and limitations on you if you were Catholic. One example is that you were not able to hold particular jobs. For instance, Catholics could not be members of Parliament until 1829. And even with that restriction lifted, it was only in 2021 that the UK got its first ever Catholic Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. In a few years, we will celebrate the 200th anniversary of Prior Park's foundation as an educational institution. But over those 200 years, this school actually closed twice, in 1856 and in 1904. The school very nearly closed in the much more recent past, but it was saved by the generosity of benefactors, staff, alumni and parents. And it's existed in this new form, this new foundation, since 1981, the year I was born. And in all of the various forms and iterations that Prior Park College has had since 1830, it has always been a Catholic school. It certainly needed to be a Catholic school when it was founded, and it needed to be a Catholic school when it was refounded. The beautiful chapel in which I gave the assembly this morning is described by this country's greatest architectural historian as, without doubt, the most impressive chapel interior of its date in the county. It's a Catholic chapel, and it's built to worship God and to celebrate the Catholic Mass. It is a chapel in which we, as a school, celebrated Mass together earlier this week, and that we will use again for Mass this Sunday as a boarding community. It is the very heart of our school, and the Roman Catholic faith has been at the very heart of our community for nearly 200 years. However, Britain today is very different to the Britain of 250 years ago. Britain today is a country where a Catholic, like Boris Johnson, can rise to the highest office in the land. Incidentally, it's a country where a Hindu, like Rishi Sunak, can also rise to become Prime Minister. It is a country of pluralism. This is not a country where one view holds sway. It is now a country where many views are able to exist. It is now a country where we are encouraged to keep accepting more than one idea. For the most part, these ideas are able to exist peacefully alongside each other. Religious freedom, the ability to worship however you choose, is enshrined in British law and established practice. Religious schools no longer need to exist for the sake of students' safety. There are Muslim schools, there are Jewish schools, and there are very many Catholic schools. And all these Catholic schools do a brilliant job and work within the wider context of education in this country. In England, there are 2,087 Catholic schools, and the Catholic Church is the largest provider of secondary education in the country. I'm a Catholic. I was educated in a Catholic primary school and a Catholic secondary school. I believe in the power of Catholic education, and I believe in the words of Pope Francis. Education, he said, is an act of hope in those before us, in their possibilities to change and contribute to the renewal of society. Oldest Catholic schools in this country, and it is proud to be so. It has educated Catholics who have gone on to do wonderful things. It has educated Catholic teachers, Catholic priests, Catholic bishops, and even a Catholic cardinal. It has been, and it is, a great Catholic school. Prior Park, though, is a school that has always changed. Over the past 200 years, it has been run by the Catholic diocese, and it has been run by monks. It has educated only boys, and it has become co-educational. It has been a school only for boarders, and it has become across the world. It has been a school where nearly everyone was Catholic, and it has become a school where under a fifth of our students are Catholic. Prior Park has changed a lot over the past 2 centuries. Our school has always changed when necessary. It has changed in order to survive. Great schools adapt, and then they thrive. Being a Catholic school in 2024 comes with some restrictions on what we can do and the subjects we can offer. It means that we cannot offer the range of choice for our students that we would like to. Range of choice will lead to more students doing better in their examinations. We hope that a wide range of different students want to come to our school because they can choose the right combination of subjects for them. To ensure that our school continues to be as successful as it is right now, we need to be as welcoming and as attractive to new pupils and families as we possibly can be. We want to make sure that our school and all of our students thrive. We know that things for all independent schools are pretty tough at the moment. Times have been tough before, and our school changed. However, this time around, we aren't going to wait for times to get tougher still. This time around, we are doing things differently. Our school now is in an incredibly strong position. Our results are brilliant. Our school is full. We are financially secure and stable. So we will take the hard decisions now so that we are ready for the hard times to come. Because our trustees and our school leaders are determined to make our school the best it can possibly be, we have decided that we will now become a Christian school in the Catholic tradition. So what does this mean for our students? Well, we will continue to offer Mass in our chapel wherever possible every Sunday, honouring that Catholic tradition. We will continue to have whole school Masses each term, as we did earlier this week. We will continue to have a lay chaplain and a thriving theology department. We will continue to prepare students who choose it for the Catholic sacraments. Sacraments like baptism, First Holy Communion, and confirmation. The sacraments which St. Augustine said were the visible form of an invisible grace. We will continue to pray together as a school, as we will at the end of this assembly. We will continue to have whole school services for Advent and for Lent. And in the classroom, we will continue to teach theology. All students will be able to study theology to GCSE and A-level, and they will continue to succeed and thrive in this academic discipline. It will, though, no longer be a compulsory subject for all students. Students in our Form 4 right now will not have to take theology for GCSE next year unless they choose. It's a wonderful course. Many of them will choose it because it is brilliantly taught, and it's brilliantly taught by an inspirational team of teachers. And we will continue our wonderful charitable endeavours, which are so important to the development of our young people's sense of social justice and responsibility. This is a big change. Our school has been a Catholic school for over 200 years, and it will now become a Christian school that proudly and visibly honours its Catholic tradition. And this may be a difficult change for some members of our community. For many of our alumni, Prior Park and Catholicism are inextricably linked. For many former and current parents, Prior Park was chosen to educate their children in the Catholic faith, and this change may seem a significant one. However, I hope that all those for whom this change is difficult will understand that it is a change that the school feels it has had to make. We want the very best education for today's students. We want the very best education for students here in a decade, in 50 years, and, God willing, in another 200 years. We believe that this change is a necessary one to ensure that continuity and for today's Prior Park to thrive. Most importantly, this change to our becoming a Christian school does not change our mission. We are still a community with love for the young people we serve at our heart. We are still a community which cultivates creativity, fosters integrity, and transforms lives. We do this through encouraging and teaching our values of curiosity, generosity, and courage. We do this in every classroom, in every sports field, and in every house space. We do this in our sacred and beautiful chapel. We do this through honouring our proud Catholic tradition and preparing our students for the world that they live in today. Our founder, who gives his name to our lower three house, was Bishop Baines. Bishop Baines's middle name, Augustine, was undoubtedly given to him in memory of the great Christian saint and philosopher St. Augustine of Hippo. It is a prayer of his that we said this morning, and I will say again now, as we reflect on how this school has changed, how it will change, and how it will always, no matter what, be Prior Park. Lord, I commit my failures as well as my successes into your hands, and I bring for your healing the people and the situations, the wrongs and the hurts of the past. Give me courage, strength and generosity to let go and to move on, leaving the past behind me and living the present to the full. Lead me always to be positive as I entrust the past to your mercy, the present to your love, and the future to your divine care. Amen. I hope you will have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.